am so excited to be here tonight with my dear co-host and amazing friend, Alexis. How are you doing today? You look amazing, by the way. I love like your whole outfit and everything, like, and your hair too, your hair.
Thank you so much. I feel like we are definitely embodying the energy of the Scorpio season and Halloween coming up. I appreciate that. I am super excited to be here. I'm feeling wonderful. I just feel, I don't know, something kicked in the last couple of days where like I just feel great. And it makes sense because you and I both have Scorpio risings, which if you guys are here listening to us often, we talk about that kind of often. So this is like an enhancement season for us. Like we really are feeling ourselves, and I'm feeling myself definitely. I was saying that I'm like breaking out right now, but like it's not really affecting me because I feel so good from
Yeah.
where we are right now. And I'm embracing it. I'm embracing the energies and feeling wonderful. I mean, this is my favorite time of the year. I'm sure yours too, Urania. And I'm just happy to be here. So how are you? Gorgeous.
I'm doing really good today. The past couple of days have been really good. I've definitely felt, I don't know, it comes and goes because I want to say, was it even yesterday or the day before I was not feeling so in the spirit. But I do like there's little moments, and today has felt very special. Like I feel like I'm lingering in the vibe of Halloween, and I love that you mentioned, us being Scorpio rising. So this is kind of like a new year, like as far as in relation to the layout of our birth chart and the areas of life in which the sun travels. So it's very similar to, people who have birthdays at this time, those of you that have the sun in Scorpio. And it was really funny. I'm just thinking about it before we, went live and we were just sitting here talking. And even before we got on camera, we were talking about our appearance and how we were kind of bored with it and we want to change some things around and just kind of like just talking about it. And we did like some things different, but that's literally Scorpio rising. That's what's activated in our chart is the
Yep.
first is the house of, the area of life pertaining to self, physical appearance, vitality, your self-expression. And so I just love when that all aligns and syncs up. So yeah, that was awesome. I just had to speak to that in the moment.
No, I agree 100%. Like it's our first house. It's the house of the self. And so of course that's heightened and we feel amazing and it's just like yeah, it's that new, I don't know, it's just that new energy. I just
Yeah,
feel
we're doing,
renewed.
and we're coming into this new being for the next 12 months or who knows longer. So Mary's here. Mary says hello. She said, "Look at you, babes." Thanks,
Hi,
Mary. Hi,
Mary.
Mary.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
being here. So tonight we're going to be talking about Samhain and the thinning veil, which is going to be, I mean, of course, very potent for the dream space, but of course, this podcast is not just about dreams. We mentioned that it's dreams, mysticism, and astral travel. And so we haven't been talking a lot. Well, I feel like it all kind of coexists in
It
everything.
all coexists.
Yes, and dreams are the main focus. But yeah, so we're going to talk about, Samhain and the history of Samhain, what it means when we say the veil is thinning. And of course, we're going to discuss all of this in relation to our dream space. And so if you have any insights, experiences, thoughts, questions that you want to share, feel free to leave them in the chat. And if you're listening or watching the replay, feel free to leave them in the comments. We would love to connect with you and hear of your experiences and your wisdom. So before we get into the topic, we do have a few announcements to share. So I'm just going to share that on November 9th, which is in a couple weeks, I am going to be teaching a dream class on, well, it's titled Dreaming with the Moon. So essentially, I am going to discuss and teach about what your moon sign represents and how it's significant in relation to your dreaming space, and also how to integrate that with the current moon cycle and how to essentially create a practice that is integrated with the cycle of the moon. And so that's going to be on November 9th. It's an online class through Ritual Craft. And the link, if you're watching us live, is not in the description, but it will be up in the next day or so. So definitely check that out if you are curious. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video.
I love that so much. I love that class. We have talked countless times privately about the moon and that way that it affects your dreams. We've also talked about it on the podcast, and it's just such a wonderful aspect to learn about. I mean, even now we were talking about it and I was like, wait a second. I bet I know another reason why I feel so good. I woke up this morning and went on my app for, to look at my astrology. And the moon right now is in Aquarius, and I'm an Aquarius moon. And I
It
checked, I was like, wait, I think it's still in Aquarius. And I looked and
is.
it's still in Aquarius. I'm like, of course I feel as good as I do. Not only are we in the season, like one of my favorite, like the favorite season, obviously. But my moon is like emphasized. So the more that you learn about your moon and your dream space and how they like coincide, the like I don't know, you just feel more connected. So go sign up and take her course because it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So I'll jump right into the next announcement, which is, of course, Dramigos. Dramigos is a developing app that Urania and I both work with and for. We are dream experts on the app. So this is essentially a dream recording app. You have multiple ways to record, whether it's written or like voice to text or even image upload. You can keep these dreams private to yourself. You can also add them to our public dream line for guidance and interpretation. And if you're a premium member, you also have access to office hours with some of our dream experts, including myself. So download the app today. You can get this on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. It's really great. It's a great community. And, on top of that, you have extras that come with it. So, a free dream circle every month. And it's wonderful. You learn so much. Sometimes all of the experts are together just talking and interacting with the community. And sometimes it's one or two hosts doing a specific topic. So, go join today. We'd love to see you.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's amazing. And the premium's only $5 a month. So there are more perks that you get with that. So definitely check that out if you might be interested. All right, so those are the announcements, and we're going to get into today's topic. And I'm sure most of you know that Samhain is Halloween essentially, or it's when we speak of Samhain, we're speaking of Halloween,
Right.
and we're going to just briefly talk about the history of this like favorite, oh my gosh, holiday. This is just such an amazing time. Do you want to start with, just a few points that you might have here on the history?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, Samhain is an ancient Celtic festival celebrating the time when the summer goes to rest, or the end of the harvest season. So, essentially, this was a holiday to not only just like take stock of what they were able to harvest for the year and prep for a period of time with no harvest. It was also a time where there was like there's a strong supernatural intensity. It also marks the beginning of the dark part of the year. And the ending of cycles, of course. I love this time of the year. I love the representation of death and then going into the liminal space of winter and then being reborn into the, spring. It's beautiful. It's really representative of, how life just naturally cycles this way. And I just, the way that it has influenced my life. I've always been such a huge fan of Halloween, and I only started like celebrating it kind of more ritualistically as an adult through Samhain over the last maybe like 10 years, which is a long period of time. So like I'd say just started, but there's so many different things you can do. I know that fire, like having a huge bonfire, was a huge part of the Samhain celebration as a way to cleanse and clear. And one of the things they would do was light essentially like a wooden wheel on fire, kind of representing the sun and the sun's quote unquote death. But yeah, it's a really wonderful holiday, my favorite. And I also want to add that there's no like satanic energy around Samhain. Like these are pre like patriarchal religion times. This is a very, very, very old holiday. So essentially, like the idea around it being attached to like evil was created long after the holiday actually began. So, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, so what's interesting too, one thing that I learned actually today when I was like looking through my books, because I've been celebrating, I mean, obviously celebrating Halloween since I was a child and observing it as like a pagan holiday for a long time. And so I do like to revisit, my books and things here and there. And so this was a perfect opportunity. And so I'm looking in this book. It's called The Solitary Witch, which perfect.
Ooh,
I have a cover.
I've been wanting to read
It's
that.
really good. Yeah, I think I got this in a used bookstore. And like this is something there's always a copy in a used bookstore, I feel. Um, but yeah, so what I just learned today is that in reference to the age of the holiday, it said that this is the second oldest unbroken holiday in the European world. Approximate age is 6,000 years. And so this book was copywritten in 2003. So, as 6,000 years add on what, like 22 years? Okay. Like, but still,
Yeah.
it's a
But
really
also,
big
that's just
deal.
the recorded. Like,
Right. That's
what
recorded.
hasn't been
Exactly.
recorded too plays a huge role. I mean, this could be something that has been going on for tens of thousands of years.
Exactly. And so, as a lot of us know, the primary focus, it says here, for Halloween or Samhain is transformation, regeneration, honoring the dead, divination, of course. So, communing with the dead, communing with other spirits is really, potent at this time, as we'll talk about with the thinning of the veil, honoring the harvest and preparing for winter. So, yeah, this is what I would consider like the third harvest. It is the end of the harvest. So the first harvest is Lunasaw, which is basically in between the summer solstice. And this is all going to be from the northern hemisphere perspective, of course, but so
Right.
Lunasaw is the first harvest in between summer solstice and the equinox. Then we have the equinox, which is the second harvest, and then Samhain, which is the third harvest. So it's like, this is the point of gathering all of, harvesting like the fruit, the squash, like whatever you can get before, like nature takes over and the frost comes in. And one of the interesting things that I remember, and actually I tend to experience it here in New York, but when I was living in Colorado, like it was almost a guarantee that we would get snow, like literally around, like either on Halloween, right
Hmm.
before or right after. Like there would be the first snowfall. And like it might not even snow again until December, but for whatever reason, it's like, just so you know, gather your resources, and I mean, of course it's a little bit different now in modern day, but we naturally start to feel that shift within ourselves with just staying inside more, or starting to, since the equinox, we've been clearing and cleaning our space, clearing our like internal space, as well as we know we're going to have more time to sit in the darkness, whether that's with ourselves or like literally, longer nights and being inside. And so, yeah, it makes sense for this to be a period of transformation and honoring the stillness, the death of, life, in a sense, like the cycle of life. Um, Other names for Halloween, we have All Hallows Eve, of course, Samhain, Hallowmas was one. Um, yeah, so those are those names. Let's see, what else did I want to bring up? And this will all naturally flow as we talk more and more about the thinning of the veil and dreams and so forth. So we'll be touching on these different meanings. But just this is honestly, yes, we're honoring the dead, but this is also from my studies with of different cultures and how they observe this holiday, it's not necessarily a sad time. It's a celebration of life, a celebration of the ancestors, like showing your respect, showing your reverence, and also appeasing the gods, right? And connecting with the gods and asking for protection. And this is why, at times there were animal sacrifices made, to clear the space, and also to feed the family or to store up on those kind of foods so that we can survive. So it's kind of like a touching on survival in a way too.
Oh,
So
for
it's a
sure.
lot that comes into this specific holiday. And I thought it was interesting too that I feel that I've read this, it's in this book, and I've read this book many times, specifically with the Sabbats, but it didn't really sit in that, some cultures observe this as the beginning of winter.
Mhm.
Which, like I said, it makes sense in some ways, like the coming of winter, I guess you could say. And as I mentioned, within Colorado, there was like snow already. So it's like, okay, yeah, the colder time is coming. And so that was something that really stuck out to me. And one of my favorite things that I just do naturally is I light more candles during this time. Like I
Yeah.
swear I always have candles burning at night this time of year. And when I like revisited my notes, there was a pointing to of bringing that sun, that heat, that warmth into the home. So there's a strong focus on what is it, home and hearth, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
warmth and the love, and keeping, honoring that fire and keeping that very close as we move through these darker periods. So always staying connected to the light and embracing that light and warmth, I think is really important. So should we go to the thinning of the veil? I think we touched on this mostly, or if there's something else you want to add.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to read a little passage so there's an article on the seawitchbotanicals.com around Samhain. And so this is a nice little kind of intro into the thinning of the veil conversation, but it's around spiritual beliefs of Samhain. And I also want to mention that there's a variety of different ways to pronounce Samhain. I like Samhain. Um, in I think in Scotland they pronounce it Samhain. In America it's pronounced Samhain. A lot of people pronounce it Samhain. Not my favorite pronunciation, but at the same time, it's like fungi. Like you can say whatever. Nobody's policing you. I like Samhain. It just works for me.
Yeah.
So this is on spiritual beliefs of Samhain. Celebrators of Samhain believe that it's a time of year when the barriers between the physical and the spiritual world break down, allowing more interaction between the living and the dead. The doors to the other world, aka the realm of the deities and the dead, are open, allowing spirits to move more easily, allowing spirits to move more easily towards entering our world. And I love that. It brings us right to the thinning of the veil, which from the definition I got just off of Google because I felt like it was a good one, is the thinning of the veil is a metaphor for the weakening separation between the physical world and the supernatural spiritual world. So when this occurs, you have experiences like enhanced spiritual connection, increased spiritual activity, and heightened intuition.
Mm.
So essentially, you just sense more around you. There's more things that are happening, more activity in your dream space, more weird things in your waking space. For instance, like you might smell random things, that might be the essence of a spirit coming through. You might like be, just kind of driving in your car, and all of a sudden you smell a very specific perfume, or like sitting in your room and all of a sudden you smell a specific food. That's an aspect that comes through. Maybe clocks stopping, um, different like glitches with your like technology, and just like your dreams being very intense and more around specific themes of ancestors and um
Visitation
we'll
dreams.
go
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
visitation dreams, and we'll go deeper into
Yeah.
that, but yeah, so the thinning of the veil, it's that the realms are almost like a merge, like you could walk through.
Hmm.
Like it's so potent, and I love it. I definitely feel it. I was driving my car today and all of a sudden I smelled, literally, I smelled sulfur out of nowhere. And I wasn't like near like one of those sewage plants or anything. I was nowhere near that. I was driving my car. I smelled sulfur for like 2 seconds, and then when I was like, "What the fuck is that? Like, what?" And I remember last year around this time, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I was driving home from work, and all of a sudden, I got this intense hunger for stuffed peppers.
Oh
Um,
my God.
and
That would be nice.
that relates to me because I don't like stuffed peppers. But my grandfather really loved stuffed peppers.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was like I was really feeling his energy. I keep one of his keys in my car, and like it had just been like such a strong energy coming through. But this is the thinning of the veil. It's such a interesting time. And it's not the only time the veil is thin. You know, when we think about Ostara, that's another time where the veil is very thin too. So this happens, you know, multiple times a year. But anyway, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to say that I can't remember anything significant last year, and I think that starting now, like I'm gonna start remembering these things because the past week has just blown me away how the telepathic connection between myself and people that I'm close to, it's been so strong. I mean, to the point of I literally was replying to a friend's email and then they messaged me as soon as I hit reply and they were like, hey, I sent you an email. I was running into work and I got stopped or whatever by someone. And so I couldn't respond on my phone, but I responded in an email. And I was like, I literally just hit send reply, like as soon as you sent that. And then other things where I would be thinking about something and I will see, that come to fruition, or, maybe like I'm having a discussion about someone and then they're messaging me, like I'm talking about them to someone else. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, they're literally messaging both of us. Like, what?
Yes.
And so I think that, well, not I think, but my experience has just with like the telepathy, like even with my clients, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
And I like my intuition has been spot on. And I think, when you follow your intuition, of course it gets stronger and stronger. And during these times, you really get the affirmation that, oh, yeah, you were on point about this thing. And it really just builds confidence within yourself to trust your intuition, trust what's coming through. Of course, you want to be discerning, but also, I mean, you'll have these moments. And so this year for me, the intuition, the telepathy has been like very, very on point, especially with the people that I'm closest to, because it's like Mary can even, what's the word? Attest, confirm. Anyways, like we would be having the same kind of day and feel the same kind of way about something. And we hadn't even talked yet. And later we'll talk and we're just like, oh my gosh, I had the same thing happen, or I felt the same way about
Yeah.
this. And it's just like that connection, like when you're on the same wavelength with someone, the connection at this time is just so strong and it flows, especially if you are connected and attuned with the energy naturally. And so I've been really enjoying that. And I think the past couple days has really, I think that's what really boosted me, in the sense of really feeling the spirit of Halloween. Cause it's felt distant. I'm going to be honest. Like I haven't really been feeling it like I usually do, which I'm okay with, because it's like sometimes I'm into the spirit of the season way early at the equinox, and then come like October, I'm already burnt out and I'm like, oh shoot, it's like October 1st. It's
Yeah.
October like 10th or something. Like what? So I'm honoring the shift in experiences, but that was right on point with what you shared.
I love that. And I've been feeling the exact same way. I mean, you and I know we've been feeling the same way with that. And, you know, it's so funny because the more that that happens, the more you're like energized by it and you feel the power coming through. I highly suggest writing these little instances down. You
Yeah.
know, just like, just like keeping track of how much you're connecting with others in this telepathic way. And I also want to bring up the other aspect of this. I've been feeling a similar connection with other creatures too.
Mhm.
So I've been called to be at the cemetery a lot lately. It's 2 blocks from my house, so I just walk up there, and I went up this morning to meet up with a friend, and the energy was so interesting, like good, interesting. And we found, like, I go to this bench every time I go up there. It's on a plot. And I go and I sit there because it's pushed back into the forest a little bit. And, when I'm there, I generally am around a lot of different creatures. Like the deer will be around me, the squirrels will play around me because they don't know I'm there. I'm just sitting there in silence, like reading or whatever. Or the bugs will be there. And they were so much more connected today than normal. I mean, me and my friend were sitting on this bench talking, and I kid you not, a spider, and it was a young jumping spider. Like you could still see through its like legs a little bit, like when they're first born, when they're first little guys, they're like a little more translucent. Came down and sat right in between us, just totally engaged in our conversation. And then I stopped, and I saw it, and I was talking to it, and it turned its body, and it was looking at me, and like I was like, you just want to be here with us, don't you? And it just sat there and like engaged, like just sat and hung out with us. There was a squirrel like right next to us too, like eating and just like being like in ears, like it had to be at least 10 feet away from us, just kind of taking in what we were talking about and like just being present with us. And then right before we left, there was like an inchworm that was like crawling around next to us too, just kind of hanging out. And it's like
Yeah, vibing. They love
we
that.
were all vibing. I mean, the spider in specific, like this spider was so engaged in our, cause she was like, she came down, sat in the middle. She's like, give me the tea. I'm here for the ride. Like, I'm here for
Like, this
this.
is my season too, just so you know.
Yes. And I love spiders. I love jumping spiders in particular. They have a personality that just like my heart
Cute,
is
especially the
so
little fuzzy
warm.
ones, like the fuzzy
Yeah.
ones. Ah,
Yeah. And just to see how like happy it was to just sit there and be with us. And the more you pay attention, the more you notice these things because a lot of people they don't really care about bugs.
mhm.
But like every time I go to the cemetery, like there are bugs around and they're just chilling. They'll like come up and be a little curious or like land on my book or like crawl up next to me, and then most of the time they just continue on their path. They're just like there to see what's up. And
You
like
should
just
babysit Sidori one day, or like we just all have to hang out because she's like super into bugs.
oh yeah.
Like we have I don't know if I showed you, but we have like she found like this random like monarch butterfly, and it maybe just died or something. Like it's in perfect pristine condition. Like if you look at it, I mean obviously
Mhm.
it's not flying so it wouldn't be alive, but it's just like no damage, just the color is so vibrant. So we have one of those. We have a couple cicadas. I think I can't remember. We have some other, like we have a bunch of cicada husks.
Mhm.
Um and stuff like that. So she's so into bugs and beetles, and like she would love you.
I
For that.
love that
Oh
so
my God.
much. I love Story. She's great. Like I've never met her, but her energy is fantastic. Like I love her energy so much. So that would absolutely be. I mean, even when you talked about going to like, I think they had it at a zoo that you went to. It was like a bug exhibit where you could be interactive with the bugs and like hold them
Oh yeah, it was a
and
it was
like
a center, yeah.
and I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, what a cool experience! Like, what a cool
Yeah, she was
experience! And
filming
like,
like the
for
hissing
a
cockroach.
kid, where like I feel like a lot of kids are very afraid of these things and stories
Yeah,
like these are so cool, like,
yeah.
but yeah, it's just like pay attention to your environment right now. The veil is thin, and we're all so strongly connected in more ways than we even know.
And I'm
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. I'm curious. It makes
no,
me curious, like if, and I think I know the answer to this, but I feel that the animals are also like even more sensitive to us. Like they can actually understand us or feel us. I feel a little bit more, however it works on their like frequency. specifically those that are like also sharing their energy, because I mean, yes, they're going to pick up people that pick up the energy of people that are disengaged. But I'm just thinking how they were all like, you were there with your friend and obviously having like a really nice conversation and experience, and they were tuning into that and they were feeling, I'm assuming, obviously, they're feeling that energy and they're connecting with that, and almost like reading you guys. And so it's interesting. I love that you share that, because it's getting another perspective on, like another earth creature's experience at this time of year, which I think is really cool, because I never thought about that until now.
Yeah. I never really thought about it either, but like after today's experience, like just being so locked in with these other creatures, it was such a beautiful thing. And like we sat there because I watched it because it was like right next to me, and I watched it come down and like kind of hunker itself next to like some debris that was sitting on the top of the bench that we were sitting at, because it like the bench is like kind of more grand, so it has like it
Yeah.
comes up to here on me, or maybe like to here, and then like wraps around, so
Oh, yeah.
it's not quite. Ooh, sorry. Eh, okay. Sorry. So it's not quite like just the bottom you sit on. It has like this area, but I watched it come down, and it like looked at us both, and it had intention. I mean, it didn't move from that spot for a while, aside from like when I was talking to it, and it would move its body towards me. And
That,
like even the inchworm, like I got so excited. I love inchworms. I don't see them that often. They're so freaking cute. Hmm?
I said I haven't seen them in like forever. I
They're
can't even
just
think of the last time I've seen them.
they're so cute. They're just the cutest. They're just like, and he was trying to get across. There was a little spider web, not from the spider that came down. It was a different spider web that had been there for a while. And it was trying to get across, and every time I would touch it, it would go back, and I like move the spider web out of its way, and then it continued on its like path, like no problem. And it's just like I just love I love their tiny lives so much. Like I'm
Yeah.
the type of person where like I will see something like a bug struggling and try to help it, or like like not that long ago I picked up a stink bug and it had spider webs around it, so I like stood there for like 5 minutes like trying to be gentle and pulling it off so they could move on with their like time and like not be sticky and yucky and like
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't think I'm not gonna go off into what the whole thing, but you just like triggered a memory. Did I tell you about how I had a bunch of stink bugs in my bedroom recently? Like they were
No.
kind of tapestry. Okay, I'll share that with you, because I told Mary that was crazy. But I'll share that with you like later. So, but I took the message from that. But yeah, it wasn't anything like bad, but your face.
I'm like waiting, I'm like, tell me.
I'm trying to read your face. I'll share when we're done.
Okay.
But it was kind of interesting. But yeah, no, I mean, this is definitely such a potent time, and I love that you shared as far as like that interaction with the animals, which really brings me to just this collective connection of this time of year in general, where when I've, of course, sat with this Sabbath or holiday from the perspective of astrology, of course, and of astrology. And there is actually like an astronomical significance to this time of year. And obviously we see it in our environment with like the trees shedding the leaves and like everything kind of dying back and pulling its energy in. But also there is essentially a point in which, so if we look at the journey of the sun through our sky, right, on the yearly travel, and that corresponds to the seasons, right? And if you study astrology, we also integrate the equinoxes, right, and the solstices with that. And so in between the equinoxes and the solstices, we have these cross quarter points, right? And so this is like the peak or the halfway point of a season. And these are actually in the pagan tradition from my understanding, from my research, the cross quarter days, which would be Samhain, Lunasaw, Beltane, and Ostara, these are the major or significant holidays, right, or Sabbaths, as compared to the equinoxes and the solstices, which is kind of, I feel, in like the overall culture, it's the equinoxes and the solstices that get, more attention. But essentially, with Samhain or Halloween, this is the halfway point of between fall and winter, right? Or between the September autumn equinox and the December or winter solstice. And so this is the point where the sun, if we're looking at the planet as a whole being, right? And we look at the center, like if we take into consideration the center of the earth, this is the point in which the sun is moving towards that lowest point of the whole entire earth, right? And the lowest point is the winter solstice, which corresponds to the Tropic of Capricorn. So that's at the southern point of the earth. And then that's when essentially the sun is said to rise again after we like experience that winter solstice. So my point of saying all that this is the peak of autumn, this is the peak of fall. And so this marks an important point where we continue to go deeper and deeper into darkness here in the northern hemisphere. And when it comes to the astronomy, this actual moment isn't until November 7th.
Right.
And it has, obviously it's changed over time due to the precession of the planet. And so my point of bringing that timing up is that I feel that can kind of give us a grace period, I feel, because, and I remember hearing this in another podcast, I think it was That Witch Next Door, how mentioning that, like, don't beat yourself up if you can't observe on the day of Halloween or maybe even the day after. And honestly, like I said, I start observing Halloween like at, the start of the equinox. And
Yep.
so I just think that this point, like I like that there's actually an astronomical reference from the planet as a whole. So this
Right.
is like, the sun is moving even further to its most southern point, that being the Tropic of Capricorn. Um, and what else was I going to mention on that? Oh, I just lost it. But yeah, no. So I mean, that was pretty much. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So generally, at this around this cross quarter point is when the sun will reach 15 degrees of Scorpio. So it's kind of like at that halfway point in the sun sign. And this is also true for, like Beltane. So that would be like the halfway point of Taurus season and the halfway points of the other cross quarter days. So there is an astronomical reference to it. And, also that ties in more, like from my perspective, the astrology and the significance of the astrology in the season. And so we still have that kind of Samhain Halloween vibe for, Scorpio season in general, not just like
Yep.
the first time. So it really moves with the flow of Scorpio season and into Sag and Capricorn, and yeah, so into the darkness.
I love this so much. Like I'm not a light I'm not a huge fan of the like summer energy. And no shade to anybody who loves that. Like I know plenty of people where like summer is their time. For me, it just doesn't I just don't vibe with the summer as much. I vibe with the death of the season and that liminal space of the winter. And it makes sense when you look at my big three and like how where they correlate, Libra, Scorpio, Aquarius, like it's all within that dying and liminal space period. And I have been longing, yearning for this season. I have been like, please, please, I'm sick of the heat. I'm sick of the sun. I'm ready to be in this season. And now that it's here, I am just like feeling my best self. Like I am wearing all my favorite clothes. I'm feeling more in tune with existence. And like, I love it. Like, I love this time of the year. And I'm so happy to be here. I really am. Like, Scorpio
Right.
season is such an interesting experience. Um, there's just a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of intensity to it. There's a lot of um, darkness in a way, but like in a gothy way. Like I don't
In a
feel
good
like
way. I mean, you
in a
gotta,
good
and
way, in a good
I think
way.
it speaks to just the confrontational nature of Scorpio. Like a lot of people, it's like either you get it or you don't, because,
It is.
of course, as an astrologer, I'm immersed in that, community, that world, and I see the comments of people, or I just see different perspectives. And I love the videos, just the fun, playful videos. And they talk about Scorpio, and Scorpio is just always super intense, dark. Like there's one creator on Instagram who's always like Scorpio is like the murderer. Like he compares Scorpio to Michael Myers. Like it's so funny. Um, because it's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, you don't have any Scorpio. But then also I just love it. And I love that kind of like, I love the intensity. And I know for me, that's because of my Scorpio placements. Like
Right.
I like thrive in it,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love having that space for the transformation. But then on the other side, I can see how, like, similar to this time of year, how it can be really heavy, really intense, really dark, really confrontational for people, because, the sun, I mean, naturally, not having the sun as much is going to naturally make you more tired,
Right.
make a little bit more, like sad at times, or just like not getting that vitamin D. It's like where you can feel that connection to the sun. So I get it. And I love how it's reflected, like it's all connected, like it's reflected in the astrology, it's reflected in the plant life, the astronomy. It's all there. And so, but I'm with you. I really enjoy this time of year. I enjoy it better in other places other than New York, because I do love the sun. And I think that Colorado was a great balance for me, because it was darker, it was cold, but during the day you get your sun. Like here in
Right.
New York, where I am in New York, it's like, oh, once November hits, it's the darkness of November is a thing, and you forget
Yep.
like what the sun is, like yeah. So
I
it
feel
can
like you and I should trade
get
places because
right.
that's what I want. I don't want any sun.
Come
I
live
want it to be overcast all the time, like on the brink of a thunderstorm all the time. I want it to be cold and
Well, it
chilly
doesn't
and just like,
that much, but I mean, it does rain a lot. But yeah, I think thunderstorms got to go down to Maryland. Like Maryland has the
yep,
bomb thunderstorms, because they have they have enough warmth and energy in the air. Like here, it's just cold rain. Like half the time in
yeah,
November, though, it's like it's gray and it's not doing anything. I'm like, are you gonna
yeah.
rain? Are you gonna snow? Like, if not, can I get my son, please?
It's actually very sunny where I'm living, which is like North Jersey, but also but like east South Pennsylvania, I guess. Like that area is where I live and work, and it's actually quite sunny through the
Yeah.
winter. And
Wow.
like I'm somebody who again like I don't get energy from the sun. I
Mm.
get energy from lack of sun. Like I'm jumping for joy and feeling all this vitalization that I haven't felt since last winter. Like
Yeah.
I when summer hits, when the sun comes out and it's I'm tired all the
It
time.
is kind of
I'm
heavy though. I
exhausted
can't
all
do
this.
summer either.
It's
Yeah.
heavy. Like it I admire people who love summer, who can be in the sun and it really like gives them energy. But this time from here on out, I feel the best. And
This is a sweet spot for me. Yeah.
yeah, but like seriously, like if you need to be in a place where like November, December, even January, like it's cold, but it's sunny. Like it's definitely very sunny where I
I
live.
you.
You would like it.
Okay.
But
I'll
like
keep that in mind.
when we think of the Scorpio, right? We think of we often talk about this on the podcast, but we think of this like reflection pool that's like never ending, and it's still and like but deep. And that's what I'm feeling. Like I'm feeling not in a self-deprecating way or like a way of judging myself and being harsh, but like just the self-reflective deepness that's coming through that feels like continuous shedding of the skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so like which is an interesting dynamic because on one hand I feel really really good, but on the other hand I'm like, okay, here are some of the things that I'm dealing with that are issues. Here's some of the things that I'm dealing with that are good. How can I navigate these issues and grow and prosper and not continuously make the same mistake? And like I'm very reflective of who I am and what I'm doing, and but it's not bad. Like it's really optimistic and positive, and you know you're excited to point out the things that need work. And I don't know if you feel that way, but
Oh,
I
yeah, I completely resonate with that. And I think that's the beauty of Scorpio and the archetype and like mastering that, embracing it. And I think that again, Scorpios kind of get a bad rap and shout out to Mary here. Mary's the sun in Scorpio in our chat. And she's funny. She says, I best be weird because I love my son and I enjoy my dark quiet moments. No, yeah, like embracing the duality is essential.
amazing.
Um but yeah, no, I think that Scorpios like this energy. This is why I love Scorpio season because I'm like, everybody's in the energy, everyone's in the
Yeah.
intensity. The veils thin, your shadows here. It's getting cold. You have to sit. You can't distract yourself with a nice, I mean, you can go on a nice nature walk. I did today, but like you can't distract yourself by like whatever you do in the summertime or, like there's more time inside.
Right.
And so, but it's like I feel Scorpio carries this energy all throughout the year. And so that is kind of, why people perceive Scorpio in the way that they do. And also people that have strong Scorpio placements, we thrive in this. Like this is what we're doing all year long. And so yeah, I think that I want to ask you, and I know obviously we have our dream reflection. So this is like, we'll just give like a little taste, but I guess we can say like, how has your dream space been? At least like, what you can recall as far as like, and it doesn't have to be just now. Also
Mhm.
just, thinking about, yeah, how your dream space is during this time of year.
My dream space has been pretty interesting. I definitely like have noticed some a little bit more gory themes, but I don't think it's in a sense of like fear. I think it's kind of just looking at the deeper aspects of life and maybe even like the idea of decay and what that might mean on a metaphorical level, on a spiritual level, where we are. I did have an interesting dream last night that I really can't remember, and I hope that it comes back to me. But I was in a very ancient land. Like I
Ooh.
was in a very ancient place. I could feel, you could feel the how old it was, and it was bright and dark at the same time. There was a duality, and it was somewhere like above ground, but in almost like a catacomb type place. Um, and I really hope that I can pull that back to the surface of my memory because it wasn't a bad dream. It wasn't scary. It wasn't anxious. It wasn't anything like that. It felt almost revitalizing. Um, but my dream space has been very interesting, and I'm excited to see where the next few days will bring, like what will bring in the next few days, especially really honing in on being right at the precipice of Samhain and even the next day, the Day of the Dead, like just this energy coming through. I'm feeling And I keep getting this, I keep having this visualization come through. This isn't a part of my dream. This is kind of more part of my daydream, which I feel like is relevant.
Mhm.
But I
Absolutely.
keep having this visualization of a key and a lock, not a door, but like a key and like a keyhole. I keep thinking about this and seeing it randomly. And I'm really interested to see what this is, what this means in my life. And I even like for some reason it came up and I was like, you know, it would be really cool if I got like the key tattooed on the like thumb of one hand and then the keyhole on the other. And like how you know what getting tattooed on your right hand means in regard or like what it represents versus your left hand and how the key and the keyhole like and I it's just been something that's been really prevalent in my brain
That
and
feels like, sorry.
no, I'm just interested to see where it goes.
What came to mind because you were saying like right and left and everything, and I'm like the masculine and feminine energies just came to mind where it's like the whole is the
No,
key
you're
is
right.
receiving and the key is
Yeah, it's like a
so it's
phallic.
interesting. And then you like when those
Yeah,
come together, you gain access to maybe like some innate wisdom, or you connect to the oneness and union and balance and whatever's there for you in that space. So that's
and
really cool.
doors are really like I have for a very long time now. When I imagine my life, I imagine a void. I know this sounds dark, but it's not. I imagine like a void, and my essence is just continuously going through the the experience of opening a door, moving through the threshold, going forward through the space between one door to the next, and
Mm,
repeat. And like I can usually tell where I am in my life based on that visualization. And like I just recently moved past a very big part of my life where I had a shackle holding me back to a door that I was already closed. And I
mm.
released myself from that. And that's huge. That's like, I'm giving myself some credit here because that's so big. And, you know, you feel it spiritually. Like when you're still attached to a part of your life that no longer fits in your current situation. So like I almost feel like I'm about to walk through another door threshold. Like it hasn't opened yet, but I almost feel like that's what maybe this is presenting to
Oh,
me
I
is
feel
like
that too. I feel that. Oh my goodness.
oh it's giving me like I feel so like I don't
Mm.
know like energized and excited.
I love that. No, that's awesome. I definitely feel that. Um, yeah, I don't like right now. I'm really surprised that I haven't really been feeling my grandmother's energy around. So I'm like really that's kind of unexpected to me. And it could be because you know how different guides will come in at different times. Like they're,
Yeah.
if they have like if you're doing something and they have some sort of like guidance and dominance or presence. Is that the right word I'm looking for? Anyways, they're there for that moment. If they're important for that, then it makes sense that they would be around. And then, something shifts and then other guides come in. Cause right now I've been more in the experience of connecting with, like, honestly, I'm going to wave my freak flag, but maybe having my galactic guide is what a friend calls it. And she's like helping me to build that connection or strengthen the connection, just my connection to like the cosmic energies and extraterrestrials, I guess you could say. So that's kind of where my focus has been preoccupied, and my dreams have been very centered around that. Like literally this morning, I just told Alexis this dream I had this morning where we were getting tattoos, which was also another intuitive moment because I had no idea she was getting her tattoos touched up today. And I had that dream this morning that we were at this tattoo place, but she had somehow already had the tattoo, or maybe you got it before. But I was like, oh, I wanted that, but I didn't know I wanted it until I saw it. And then I was like, oh, you had it. So then I was looking at other tattoos and it dawned on me. I was like, um, hi, do you have any drawings here? Because I was looking at an art book and I was like, do you have any drawings with like extraterrestrials or UFOs or anything like that? And they did. And so that was kind of like, I didn't get the tattoo because they didn't exactly have what I wanted. And the dream went on to doing something else. But so that's really interesting that I don't know. I would assume that um I would be having dreams with my grandmother, but I will also say that, to be honest, I never really felt connected to, say, my ancestors. Like, I will connect with my grandmother. I mean, and maybe it's because I felt really distant from her for a really long time. So whenever anyone, like an old boss of mine, she really was like into like ancestral work and all of that stuff, and she would say she picked up on my ancestors, especially like the Creole side of my family, which my grandmother was the Creole side. But I just never, like, I wasn't even interested. Like, I've always kind of went further back in time, even though, for me now I think it all happens at once, but I've always been more focused on, say, ancient Egypt or star seed stuff. Like, I just really don't feel like, I mean, at one point I was just like, I feel like this is my first time here and I've been planted with memories and stuff. And like, I feel like I'm from somewhere else.
Well, I was gonna say maybe your ancestors are these extraterrestrial
Right. That's why
beings.
I was like, maybe this is like that ancestral connection, that's coming through at this moment. So exactly, that's exactly where I was going. So that was just confirmation of what I was thinking. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how my dream space has been, as far as like just over the past, couple weeks. It's been, yeah.
I love that. And like it's so funny that you had a dream about me getting tattoos because that telepathy aspect is coming through in multiple ways. Like I was supposed to get these touched up 2 weeks ago, and the appointment was just never put in their books electronically, so they didn't know. So when I came, they were like, "Oh, we're really really sorry. There was some kind of like mix up. This wasn't put in." I was like, "Hey, look, it's whatever. It happens." But the night prior to that, I had a dream that I had missed my tattoo appointment. So like I was prepared in my mind, mentally and emotionally from the dream, that I had already gone through the experience of not making it, missing it, not being there. And then when I got there, like it kind of was like I was prepared already and was just like, that's okay. Like whatever. Like I have no feelings about this, whatever. Like it happens. And so for you to have the dream about my like I'm connected with like my future in some way, and then you're connected with me, and your ancestor, we're like intertwined. It's just this interesting like
And it's like
combo
the
of
odd, like, what are the odds that it was
yeah,
early this morning?
yeah,
Like, you even didn't you work today? Like, so you
yep.
did all that before work. So I wouldn't even have that. Like, I didn't know when your appointment was to get it
I
touched.
didn't even
And I
talk
wouldn't
to you
assume
until I
maybe,
got
but
to work.
right. You mentioned it like later in the day, and I was like, oh my goodness, I had a dream. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And so that might be something, that you're experiencing during this time. Like, precognitive dreams are turned
Yep.
up because, like, your intuition, like, the veil is thin between you and, those you're connected with and the higher selves of, our loved ones and, ourselves.
Whatever that may mean to you.
Right. Right. So it's like the precognitive dreams might be more abundant. Also, like we were saying, like the visitations, Mary says her grandparents have been coming through um as unknown spirits, and it's busier like in her energetic space right now. So um yeah, like they've been, I guess you're saying like they've been showing up in different ways, but that it's them. Right. And so also that could be some sort of that energy, like shape shifting energy, I feel, um as we are in the space of like life, death, and the coming of the rebirth and so forth. So that's a possibility for your dream space as well. I mean, of course, and there the typical, you know themes of like death and maybe even harvest. Like when you think about this time of year and those kind of um qualities and just the themes, like, you can expect to see that in your dreaming space, especially if you're really connected and doing the dream work and very present in your day to day. You're definitely going to experience a lot of this.
Absolutely. And to add on to that, I feel like angel numbers or spirit numbers too right now coming through in your dream space, or even like time in general. You know, the time of the season, you know, we're getting to a point where like things are ending. And so time could be a prevalent thing in your dream space as well. I know in the waking space, time like numbers have been really like, I mean, I 11 twice a day, you know, 2 2 2 3 3 3 4 4 4 5 5 5 on the clock, like random. Like I'm not like seeking it out, it's coming to me. And so, you know, pay attention to that too. Pay attention to the little details in your dreams, because even if you feel like it's insignificant, it probably is gonna be some guidance in one way or the next. Um,
Especially like for the fact that that's like what you remember,
yeah,
because there was so much going on in that dream. But that, I don't know, there was a lot of excitement in that part of the dream too. Like I can't, like it was just a high vibe. And I think it was because most of the time when I have UFO or anything like that in my dream, it's like I get excited now, except a couple of weeks ago where there was like an arm, like I think I mentioned that in the Dark Moon Dream Reflection, where
yep.
there's an army of them, and I was like, what the heck?
Hmm.
But generally there's a lot of excitement and high vibe, and so that was kind of like all I remember. And
Right.
so, but that was really significant, especially that it was like a precognitive type thing in a way too.
Absolutely. These are so interesting. And you mentioned your grandma. I actually have been seeing a lot of, I've been getting a lot of energy from my grandma recently, which makes sense because my grandma died in like the first like half of November.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and my grandma was a goofball. Like she was very like, I don't know, just very, I don't want to say inappropriate, but like some people would think inappropriate. She was just very herself and very goofy and playful and dirty and like all these things. And like, you know, I have come to the realization that I know she's around when I see the number 69 a lot. And I
Nice.
and I've been seeing it so often lately. I'm like, Grandma, I see you. I see you chiming in there, making me laugh. All you know, the stupid like 69 joke. Or like she that was just her energy. Like she just like farts and cursing and just like all of like the just I don't know. It was a very much to an extent me.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, I hadn't heard much from her all year.
Hmm.
So it is nice to get a little bit of download here and there like that.
Hmm.
So, but
Yeah, that
I've been
makes sense
connecting a
too.
bit.
Like, I feel like that thrush, or like around an anniversary date like that, I always feel my grandmother around that time too. So then I could see how that could be like even more emphasized, like being that it's this time of year and this is that time. So
Yep.
that definitely, and we're talking about dreams, but also, this is the time where it goes beyond dreams, because like that spiritual or supernatural or astral plane is like that boundary is very thin, so it's with
Yeah.
us, generally, or not generally, but there have been times in the past where, or actually in this house, like when I first moved here, like there's this place in my house right off the kitchen, like going to the backyard, or well, between the kitchen and the patio to the back, the door to the backyard. Wow. That's where the basement is. Like, so there's like that threshold basically. And whenever I'm in the kitchen, I always had the need to like turn around and like look like someone's watching you. And it was always around this time in the spring, like the other end of the spectrum. And it was just like there will be points where I'll have to talk to, and I'm like, yo, like, what are you? Who are you? Like, you're not welcome here. Cause I knew it wasn't because I was getting chills because I knew at some point
Right.
that when I knew it was, wow, words. I knew it was something that was antagonizing because there was one point where I was in the kitchen and I was getting water, and it's always like at night, of course. And I just had the urge to run from the kitchen to my bedroom. And I don't like, that's when I pay attention to stuff like that, because I don't just do that. And I
Right.
felt something and I was like, like,
Hmm.
and then I'm just
Uh-huh.
like, what the fuck? And then generally around that time. So this might be something that some of you experience, like in your dream space, you might not sleep very well, or you might have like frequent wakings. And there would be periods, like I'm thinking around that time too, where I would like wake up in the middle of the night, like kind of in the in between. It wasn't sleep paralysis, but it was just like it was a dream, but I wasn't like I was, in my local space in that whole
Yeah.
situation. And I was going through some stuff. It was like the first year postpartum, and I was like not in a good mental
Oh,
space. Like not
yeah.
like there was like I feel like now I don't really like the past year or so. I haven't really had any like visitations, and so, but I always know, like I'm like, nope, we gotta
But
shut
you
it down.
also
We gotta
clear your house.
clear
Like
your
you have
house. Exactly. That's
protective, you're like
Yep.
very protective and you have those protective wards and you do what you put offerings outside and like it's a very comfortable space.
Yeah. And
Um
especially the longer you live in your space and you're doing that, unless there's like something that has existed there before you got there, like 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be it's comforting, it's gonna be safe. Like, and
oh
when you
yeah.
that energy shift, like you know what to do. Like you're like, and that's the beauty of being in a space for a long time and having your own energy, in that space and doing what you do, because you'll know pretty much right away that something unwanted is here. And it's like, what
Oh,
is your,
for sure. I
yeah.
definitely feel something in my apartment. And the first like year I was nervous and uncomfortable. And like the way that I moved through, because I would get the same feeling of like, I need to run up the stairs right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I always got that at my parents' house when I lived there. My sister lives like, is in my room now where I was when I was in my parents. And she will like tell like she'll put money that there's something there and I agree like it was definitely like one of those feelings but the way that I kind of merged my energy with this when I was dealing with that when I first moved here was I would turn off all the lights at night and I would sit in the middle of the like in the on the floor in the middle of the room in the pitch dark and I would essentially just kind of like meditate and force myself to be in the space with it and
Oh,
after a while the energy just like became very comforting and I
yeah.
don't know like the origin. I have a feeling that the previous tenant who passed away not that long after we moved in.
Mhm.
So he was living in our apartment and then he moved to the apartment in the front of the house because it's one big house because it was just one floor and he was having trouble with stairs and our apartment has very steep stairs. And so I feel like a part of him is here
Mhm.
because he really loved this apartment. And I get it. I love this apartment too. Like I completely
Yeah.
understand why he would want to still be here. But there's something else and I'm not really sure what the origins of it is and but I do know that like after sitting there and it kind of like I almost felt like I was putting myself on a platter for this essence like I don't know
Uh-huh.
like
For yourself.
and I was just like I just had to force like I just forced myself to sit through the fear and it all dissipated all it just felt like all of the tension just melted off of me. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it happened. I don't know if it was like the intimidation because I was someone new and like when I put myself in that position like they kind of understood that I wasn't going anywhere and I was going to face this kind of peacefully and like whatever. But ever since then, like I can be downstairs in the dark, pitch black, and not feel that like I'm gonna get you feeling. Like
Yeah.
Whereas at my parents' house, like I got that nonstop. And I know that when I was living in my parents' house, my fear and paranoia and anxiety were all like high
Yeah.
just in general. So
Yeah.
it was like I was already at a level like 5 to 7. So
Yeah.
then having that other sense of energy around it was like just cherry on top of feeling uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly
But
what you're.
I would love to sit down and reflect, and maybe I'll do that on Samhain because I really want to sit down and journal like for a long period of time anyway and meditate. Maybe I'll sit down on that experience and really kind of like try to pull in through automatic writing what that might have been and what the essence and the presence might have been, and why it might have shifted. Because I'm still very curious. Like I don't think about it too often, but when I do think about it, I'm like, that's so interesting
Mm,
that just the way that happened.
yeah. Yeah, no, that is, I felt like when you were explaining it, you kind of, because most people would be like, get the out, like just shooing them out. And you went in and was present, to what was in the space, not really sure exactly what it was. And, there's some element of like coexistence that's coming through there, and not trying to dominate, but just like, hey, I'm here, I'm present, like it just, and also it could even be like, your own anxieties in some ways, like there, and like for you to be in that very vulnerable state, like that kind of just boosted your inner strength, your confidence, your personal power, facing your fears, so to speak, or facing this energy that's outside of yourself, not knowing what it is. And so I felt like that just kind of neutralized it naturally and cleared it, like by showing up in that way and acting and like taking that action. So that's amazing.
I
um
agree with that. And to kind of add on to that, recently in the Virgo to Libra season, I felt like I was having a very difficult time with certain aspects of my life. And
mhm,
where I was having a lot of anxiety around those aspects of my life, I noticed that where I sensed whatever was around, it my anxiety turned into fear. So I started having more like the essence turned negative,
mhm,
and it was really interesting. And it's not like anything was happening, but like I was just more in fear. So like my anxiety was high, and instead of being able to be comfortable in my bed and go to sleep, my anxiety was high, and I started having almost like visions of something that was darker. And it like, I don't know how to explain this. You don't see it with your eyes, but you see it.
mhm.
You don't see it. You're not.
With your
It's
mind,
not
with
in
your
front
mind's
of
eye.
you, but it's in front of you in your head. Like it's such a weird thing. And I know I used to get this as a child a lot. Like I would feel the essence of whatever was in the space, and my anxiety would turn it into something scary. And I
Mhm.
couldn't see it visually, like right there physically, but I could see it in my brain. Like
Yeah,
it's
I know
weird.
exactly what you're
And
saying.
for like the first time in a while, I had to like go into that defensive sleep position that I always was in as a child, where I would like wrap my blanket
I did
around
that
my
too.
head and like only my face would be out. And I'm like kind of just like hiding. And it's so interesting because like when I'm in the hypnagogic state, it very frequently I hear people walking around my bedroom.
Mhm.
And that doesn't scare me. Like
Mhm.
I'm just there and I'm hearing it and whatever. They're like it's almost like I don't know. There's definitely presence there, and I'm just kind of more in tune with it because I'm in that state of in between. But like the difference when my anxiety is high and the fear comes through is night and day.
Mhm. Yeah, and this makes me want to have another conversation, like demons and devils, and because I have, and it's not my theory, and but I really resonate with it, but I definitely feel that, or believe that our anxieties, our fears and stuff like that can take on the manifestation, like, when we project them out for such amount of time. like they do take on an embodiment or manifestation, and that happens definitely on a collective level.
Oh
um,
yeah.
but we'll save that for another talk. And I wanted to say too that spooky season, honestly, like this whole energy around Halloween, like the spooky vibe, the darkness, that actually carries into the winter solstice, right? Because you even have like, what's that one tale with the winter solstice where it was like the three ghosts or something like that? Or there, I can't,
Oh, like
is it,
the oh my God. I
oh,
know it's
I'm
called
talking about,
Scrooged with
oh
there's
yeah,
a movie
okay,
called Scrooged and it's based on that and I can't remember, but it's
yeah,
essentially like the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of
right,
Christmas future, and the
present.
ghost of Christmas
Yeah,
present.
so that, and there's like little tales and stuff like that, like in between. It goes, towards winter, or like, the solstice. And so
Yeah.
that energy kind of carries through. And so I think it'd be kind of cool if we do another episode next month where we kind of discuss some sort of like spooky topic or something like that, because,
Yeah.
or being in this dark energy, because it is really important. And that's something, like you said, and like I mentioned too, when we were in, say, like a space of high anxiety or fear or anything like that, we felt these present, like this energy around, or a presence around. And then, here we are at this time and we're in really good spirits, and it's the energy is different. Like we feel presence, we feel beings and, family members and so forth, but it hits differently. So, I
No,
to touch on that.
100%. And
Yeah.
like, just to touch on that, like I like that theory. Like that resonates for me because of the experiences I've had. The times where I know that my fear and anxiety were heightened, it turned what I sensed
Hmm.
into something bad.
Exactly.
But I've been in the same space when I'm not anxious and fearful, and this what I sense is neutral or good.
Hmm.
And I really feel like that the manipulation of our reality definitely for me is linked to our mental space and where we are. I mean, I really like just me remembering like the differences between when I was scared all the time as a kid,
Hmm.
but the pockets where I wasn't scared, the visions and the essences that I felt were very comforting. And I remember laying in bed as like a 5 year old, feeling really cozy between my parents and safe. And the
Hmm.
vision, like, and I saw this actually physically. My parents have like, or had the type of bed that had poles and then the curtains, it was very like
I love it.
Victorian kind of. It was
Yeah.
like a like rod, not wrought iron, but it was like the metal. Like
I
it
remember.
was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
And
that canopy. Yeah.
yes, canopy. And I was laying in bed and they were asleep and I was comfortable, but I was in the hypnagogic state. And the essence that I was feeling, it was like a ring of fairies going around like the canopy and
Mm.
like just like dancing and moving and just like feeling very light and loving and beautiful, where like again that energy of being fearful and scared and alone like in my room, and like what my brain would turn those into was something horrible and scary and horrifying and terrible. So it's just it living that experience is very interesting. And as an adult, it's interesting too, because like your memory shifts and moves and changes as you go like get older and further away from what happened. But when it happens to you like right now, you're like, holy shit, this is bringing me back to a time where when fear was my main feeling,
Mm.
this is the experience I had. But fear is not the main feeling I have
Right.
anymore.
So it's like you're in a whole different reality. Like you're
Yes.
you're in the same like space, and it feels the same, but well, it feels the same. Like it should feel the
Yeah,
same.
it
But
should feel the same.
you shifted into another reality where that heaviness,
Yes.
that energy, that presence, whatever it is, no longer exists. Like you're in a different dimension,
Yeah.
or parallel reality, I should say. Oh my gosh, that is definitely another conversation that we are having.
so excited.
We're
Like
gonna
I could go
continue
on for like
this.
hours on this. So I'm
Yes. No,
100%
we're
down.
definitely doing that. We're gonna honor like the spooky, dark energy through, the next couple months because we're getting, yeah, let's
Absolutely.
just honor it. I think that'll be really cool. Um, so yeah, I think we're almost at 10:30. So, this is a good place to wrap it up. I do want to say that I talked about the astronomy and ritual of Samhain. And so that link, if you want to check that out, it's only like a 35-minute video I did a couple years ago. So that link is there if you want to learn more. And then I also go into details about like cultural observances, and I share like a little ritual you can do if you want to check it out. And again,
Ooh.
this is like this portal, this thinning of the veil is honestly, it's extended to like at least November 7th, right?
Right.
Um, as that is the point in which the earth is or sorry, the sun is at its halfway point from our perspective between the equinox, the spring equinox, and which actually is the most western point from the equator and or sorry, from the center of the earth measured at the equator. So it's that western point, and it is halfway between that and the Tropic of Capricorn, which is the most southern point. So I talked just a little bit more on that, definitely more polished so you can understand it. Um, and yeah, so I just wanted to share that. But are there any last words, wisdom, anything you want to share here before we wrap up?
Yes. So I know this is a little off topic, but on topic because we ventured a little bit away from the Scorpio energy. But I also wanted to bring up Scorpio's duality when it comes to
Mhm.
the ruling planet. So I find this aspect incredibly interesting, and this will be the last little like tidbit that I add. But Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. And I know people who have Scorpio in their charts who are 100% Mars ruled and people who are 100% Pluto ruled. And obviously the duality, I know people who definitely merge those energies, but like I'm somebody who is very Pluto ruled.
Mhm.
And Urania, I'm sure, I feel like you've mentioned this before, but you relate more with the Mars energy. Or has that
In
shifted?
some ways, no, I feel I relate more with Mars for sure, but I think that I know recently that Pluto has been really activated for me because of Pluto and Aquarius. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
my Pluto in Scorpio is like 4 degrees or something like that. So it's really getting hit. So I'm feeling that. And I like when I think about my life, like, with Scorpio risings, we have like a cycle of, of more frequent cycle of this like really intense like shedding and death and rebirth. And so yeah, I definitely see more of that Pluto influence. But when it comes to like tracking things, I definitely pay attention to Mars in reference to like Scorpio. Yeah.
Right. And like I just find that aspect really interesting because most placements, like most signs are ruled by one planet.
Hmm.
I think like
Aquarius, Pisces, and
I
Scorpio,
was just gonna say I
the
think
only ones that
Pisces
do.
definitely is ruled by what Neptune and
Jupiter.
Jupiter,
Hmm.
and then of course Scorpio, Pluto, and Mars. And what was the other one you mentioned?
Aquarius
Aquarius,
is Saturn,
Uranus.
Saturn and Uranus. Hmm.
Yep. Hmm. And there's such an interesting relationship with having two planets rule the sign. And like I have always felt very strongly with Pluto and almost kind of feared or rejected the Mars aspect. And as I'm getting older, I'm learning more about astrology and I'm working, Urania and I talk all the time. And like she gives me constant insight and wisdom. And the older I get and the more I learn from you, the more I'm realizing that like that rejection of Mars has to stop. Like
Well, it gets
I
kind of tricky with you because you have both in
I
Scorpio.
do. I
And
do.
so it's like to separate them is going to be an interesting experience because like I mean they definitely have different qualities and expressions, but like, yeah, so that'll be interesting, and I'm really excited to be here with you when while you experience that.
Well, and the reason I bring this up is because like I've always related with the death rebirth aspect of Scorpio and not so much like the spitfire like energy of Mars.
Hmm.
But recently I've been talking to like my husband and like, I send him these little memes where it's like, which one is your girlfriend? And it's like six different like I don't
Right.
know, plates of food described in different ways. And he's like, oh, you're the one who's like loud and passionate and this and that. And I'm like, what? That's not how I perceive me. I've
Gosh.
always perceived me as like this dark, like Plutonian energy, but I'm realizing that like the Mars is prevalent and I can't reject it anymore. Like I have to integrate it and it has to be balanced,
Excited.
which as a Libra,
Yep.
that balance is necessary. But I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was just like an interesting point. But
Yeah, and
anyway,
I think with Mars, Mars is definitely like, of course, there's the aggressive nature, yada yada yada. But when I think about, and I really feel that, I hate to say with Aries, but like when I think about Mars and Scorpio, there's like the intensity, and I feel that like the aggression aspect that you could point to with Mars, or that kind of fire. I feel like that that is so that's channeled deeply into passion and like the devotion of Scorpio, like the devotion and the passion to
yeah,
like, be in the intensity, be in the dark, to peel back the layers, to like see what lies beneath. And um it's like, and of course it's never, you're never going to get to the bottom of anything, and so like
right,
always like that passion, that drive is there. And I honestly, I really see it with Scorpio risings the most, because generally people that like, when I like most Scorpio risings, they live their passion, like whether they are doing it intentionally by like, being an artist full time or being an astrologer, like that passion is like in their work, like that
right,
devotion, you see it in the discipline. And I feel that that is like that fixed energy of Scorpio, in the intensity. That's how Mars is kind of expressed, if you have, that's like, Mars and Scorpio specific, um and just like how of that rulership. Now for me, I have Mars and Pisces, so there's a different dynamic, but still there's still like this strong like passion and
right,
devotion.
yeah,
And so I definitely see that, but I see both in you, especially because you have both in Scorpio, so it makes sense.
right. And I
Yeah.
feel like too, like when I think about myself, I equate Mars energy to being strong. And
Mhm.
I don't perceive myself as very strong. And
Mhm.
the more that I'm kind of growing into myself and understanding myself, I'm starting to give myself more credit in those
Mars
areas.
is strong. Yeah.
And like what I've been through and where I'm at now, like took strength to get here. So I think that there's kind of like this perception of who I am. And then the perception that I had of myself is kind of being taken away, burned away because I'm seeing myself in a different light.
Yeah.
And, it's just acknowledging the importance of that balance between the both. So I thought that was an interesting thing to bring up
Yeah.
for Scorpio
That was
season.
a,
And
that was a good point.
maybe people who might be, feeling similarly, whether it's sun, moon, whatever, like in Scorpio, the energy coming through and where that might show, with the ruling of these two planets. So I just wanted to
Yeah,
bring
and
that.
the time of
But
year too. Yeah.
right,
There's a lot of, I mean, a lot of people can get frustrated with this time of year too, because it's an exciting time of year, but yeah, there's a lot of intensity. All right. So, with that said, I think that was our chat here with Samhain and Belle. We hope that you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please like this video, please subscribe, please, follow us on Spotify, subscribe here on YouTube. And yeah, we'll be back next week. We're going to talk about the reflections between or the similarities basically between the dreaming space and the waking space. That's actually going to be part one of this conversation. We're going to have a special guest on for the second part, which we'll talk about next week. I'm really excited. But yeah, have a safe Halloween, Samhain, everyone. and best wishes, and sending you all the love in your dream space during this time. And always, yeah.
Yeah, happy Samhain and sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams, everyone.